What's up, everybody? Tonight we are going to talk about what were the best moves made by this front office this season. Who was the best bench player? And we're going to look at some interesting comments by Kyle Kuzma at the end. Next on Locked On Wizards.
You are Locked On Wizards, your daily Washington Wizards podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
What's up, everybody? It's your boy Brandon Scott again. I appreciate you guys making Locked On Wizards your first listen every single day. We are free and available wherever you get your podcasts and on YouTube, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every single day. And tonight's episode is brought to you by Monopoly Go. Game off. We got to talk more about Monopoly Go. This fast-paced game lets you team up with friends or tournaments to unlock awesome prizes like unique stickers for trading, cute, cool playing pieces, and hilarious emojis for taunting your friends. So download Monopoly Go now for free on the Google Play or the App Store. So what's up, everybody? We're gonna get into the final categories because tomorrow night is the award show, and then we're gonna talk about what is the vision going forward for the show. But before we do is get into today's content, which is what was the best move made by the front office this season. And we're going to look at trades and transactions this season, not before the season. Obviously, we argue about the Bradley Beal trade, which is a hot topic right now. Who won that trade? But we're going to look at transactions within the season, and we're going to judge the front office based on that. And who was the best bench player? And then we're going to look at some comments made by Kyle Kuzma that kind of resonate back to the comments he made at the exit interview that kind of paints a picture of what they're really looking for as far as going forward with this organization. So let's get into it. So there are three major moves that I'm looking at that you can kind of that I'm going to campaign today for the best moves made by this front office this season. So we'll start with number one. The trade sending Danilo Gallinari and Mike Muscala to the Detroit Pistons for Isaiah Livers, Marvin Bagley III, and draft compensation. So why should you consider this trade one of the best moves this season? Easy. Marvin Bagley III. Marvin Bagley III, going back to Duke, I was a big fan of him. You see his potential as a versatile big in the NBA with his ability to score in the paint, the rebound, the defend, to shoot from three, to shoot from mid-range. The biggest knock against Marvin Bagley III, going back to Sacramento and his days with the Detroit Pistons, which is his motor. There was times where people deemed that he didn't play hard enough. He stopped playing, he quit. His motor went up and down. But this season, with his play with the Washington Wizards, it kind of shows what kind of play you have with him when he has a high motor, when he's motivated, when he wants to play hard. And he found the right system. He found the right place. He found his right spot. And he shows that he is comfortable here in the district. And, with interim head coach Brian Keefe, that is, he got the best out of Marvin Bagley III. And you saw, because we knew what the issues were before Wes Unseld Jr. was promoted to the front office, and interim head coach Brian Keefe was also promoted, which was we struggled on defense, every aspect of defense. I can go through each area, but I think y'all have heard it enough this season. Defense has been an issue, and rebounding, and just the culture of playing basketball, the culture of playing to win, playing hard, staying close in games, especially against these teams who are playoff teams, these upper echelon teams. That's where you really measure where you're at, and we did that in the second half of the season. So, this move was a good move, in my opinion, because Marvin Bagley III, now, I'm not going to grade anything. I've already done the grades for the season already, but Marvin Bagley III showed he can play. So there's two reasons why you should kind of be excited about this move. Number one, he's very young. He's still a young player. So if you indeed want to keep him around, which, they haven't really resonated whether that is an option at this point, especially considering you have Tristan Vukcevic, who 7-footer, who's a guy who is very young. He's definitely part of the vision going forward. And you have Rashawn Holmes, who's on the player option. And me personally, nothing's been confirmed. But, if you look at the fact of his age and the contract number, which I believe at this point was $12.6 million, I would enact my player option, because would he find that amount of money in free agency? I don't believe so. He's in later stages of his career, and he's very limited as a player, even though I am a fan of Rashawn Holmes. But looking at Marvin Bagley III, he has boosted his value as far as whether he should be a long-term piece here in DC, and two, whether he should be a trade piece. Because, again, with his ability to score in the inside, score in the paint, score was back to the basket, rebound, defend, shoot from mid-range, shoot from three-point. This guy fits the mold of a modern-day big. And, would he be considered a long-term piece here in DC? Like I said, and I hate to keep saying this, but it's true. We are still early on in the offseason. Right now the NBA playoffs, Rio is still in the first round, so we have some time till the NBA season is officially over. So right now we're it's still in preliminary as far as what moves could be made by the Washington Wizards. Right now, the biggest news, or really the biggest priority right now, is head coach, finding the next head coach. I've covered that already. Guys, definitely comment below. Let me know what you think. Who the next coach is. I think it's Brian Keefe. But getting back to the subject matter, Marvin Bagley III really played well this season. So let's get into his stat line real quick. Give me a second, everybody, because I had it pulled up on another player. Let's see. So Marvin Bagley III, let's pull him up real quick. So this season, he averaged 11.7 points, 6.2 rebounds, 1.1 assists, shooting 58.6% from the field, and he shot 39.1% from three. So he dealt with his fair share of injuries. The injuries was was something that was an issue all over the roster this season. But when he played well. So I definitely think that you guys should definitely make this consideration for the best move made by the front office this season, because we got a center who came in and helped deal with the issues we had, whether it was on the rebounding side, whether it was on paint defense, paint points, spreading the floor at the center position, and getting into the other components. We got some second round picks, which, Lord knows we have more second round picks than probably the rest of the NBA put together. But, that's part of the vision of Will Dawkins, of Michael Winger, and Travis Schlenk, is that, they're kind of looking at the OKC model, which is accumulating draft picks and accumulating young assets. And I'm behind it, man. Like I said, not too long ago, it was my first time actually chatting to Michael Winger and Will Dawkins. And I talked to Michael Winger a lot more than I did Will Dawkins. I came, out of that exit meetings or the exit interviews, very impressed with both gentlemen, because they both have a vision. They both carry themselves like some dudes that, look, they're on a mission, man. They really are. So very impressed with what this front office doing. Now, looking at the other player, Isaiah Livers, dealt with injuries. He was out for the majority of his time with the Wizards. I was actually intrigued to see what he could have done to help this team, with his ability to, Isaiah Livers. And let's pull up his stat line real quick, because Isaiah Livers, I was actually pretty high on him. I thought that he could be a pretty good player. And then you look at other factors like, the fact that, he was a former roommate of Jordan Poole, dating back to University of Michigan. I was very intrigued to see if he could have been a piece. But we're looking at his contract situation. I get why they moved on to a certain degree, because if you look at his points this season, this was his third year. Third year. So this would have been a contract year. So, he averaged 5 points, 34% from field goal and 28% for three. So the sample size, I think a lot of that had to do with injuries and playing time, because obviously it's a youth movement in Detroit, so playing time wasn't the most. So, like I said, I was intrigued to see what Isaiah Livers could do, but looking at the contract situation, I get it. A lot of important decisions coming up this season. You got Corey Kispert on an inspiring deal, so I get it. And he was subsequently waived to go ahead and sign Jared Butler to an NBA standard contract. So, look, like I said, I would definitely consider this move as the best move made by this organization this season. Move number 2, or rather trade number 2, sending my guy Daniel Gafford, to the Dallas Mavericks for Rashawn Holmes and the 26th overall pick in this upcoming draft. Why should this move be considered a good move this season by the front office? Well, number one, it was mandated by Ted Leonsis to acquire another pick. And I myself, looking back at this, looking at this draft and actually last year's draft, I believe that we should have came into this draft with 2 first-round picks. 2 reasons for that, right? Number one, we can use that 26th pick and maybe a player to move back into the lottery. And that's the big reason. We can use it as collateral to move back in the lottery. And 2, there's talent in the second half of the draft. And, a lot of people aren't high on this draft. I consider it a highly developmental draft. You have a lot of players who, or if not most of the players in this draft, are not going to be able to contribute right away as being a starter. You're going to have to be developed. And looking at a team, like the Wizards, considering the fact that we are year 2, are going into our second year of a rebuild. Right now, we're going after the model of the OKC Thunder, which is accumulating picks and accumulating young players. So, grabbing 2 guys in the first round this year and a guy in the second round. And another fact, this front office can utilize second round, which hasn't always been the case under Tommy Shepard, under Ernie Grunfeld. The fact that Will Dawkins went out there and got Tristan Vucevic in the second round. And yeah, he came late, but he came in very polished offensively, and he's got work to do defensively. We finally, the biggest thing is we were finally able to utilize a second round pick, which hasn't always been the case, because Yannick Sosa, there is still an APP out on him. So they're still looking for him. I'll let you guys know when we find him. But, we finally had a second round pick that contributed. I think that definitely, garners high marks for this front office, because we haven't always been able to not only, capitalize in the second round, but find a guy who can contribute. And Tristan Vucevic, looking at his size, man, and his age and his motor, very intriguing to see what he can do long term, man. Especially going into this draft, if you're able to find a 7-footer at the 4, you could potentially in 2 to 3 years look at a front court with 2 7-footers at the 4 and 5. I'm just saying. So definitely consider that move to Dallas, the Daniel Gafford trade to Dallas for Rashawn Holmes and the 26th pick. Definitely consider it as a really good move, for the best move made by his front office this season. A couple of other factors, again, congrats, shout out to my man Daniel Gaff. Definitely is really encouraging to see him really play good ball in Dallas. But looking at Rashawn Holmes, I didn't know what to expect from him, but he came in, he was a dog, he fought hard in the paint. Very limited offensively, but he showed that what high energy and a high motor can do as far as covering up inefficiencies in other areas, especially in an offensive game. He's very limited offensively, but he was a guy that showed high motor. He fought in the paint, fought for rebounds, providing good points in the paint. So, right now, the center position is up in the air right now. What is the future of the center position? Marvin Bagley third and spine contract with Rashawn Holmes with a player option. We'll see if he enacts that. And we have Tristan Vucevic. So we'll see. A lot of dominoes need to fall. But one more move that needs to be considered for the best moves made by the front office this season: signing Jared Butler to an NBA standard contract. It kind of resonates from last year, right, with Jordan Goodwin. And it really goes back to Capital City Go-Go and the general manager over there, Amber Nichols. They're doing a great job getting these guys over in the Capital City Go-Go ready to play meaningful minutes if need be. And that shows that we have good depth as far as young talent here in DC, stretching it back from the Wizards roster to the Capital City Go-Go roster. We have a lot of young players. I mean, you look at not only Jared Butler, look at Jules Bernard, look at Justin Shenpenny, look at Hamidou Diallo. The list goes on. RG Hampton. We have young talent in reserve if need be, and they're training them up with this Capital City Go-Go for when it's time for them. If in the case of injury or whatnot, they're able to come up and play meaningful minutes and provide great minutes for this team. So again, shout out to the Capital City Go-Go. So that is a move to consider. Jared Butler screams future backup point guard. He came in, he played really good basketball. So these are 3 moves that I would definitely consider, guys, to be the best moves made by the front office this season, because again, Marvin Bagley definitely came in and played good ball. Rashawn Holmes did a lot more than I thought he was, but was a key piece of this team as far as veteran leadership and veteran presence. And Jared Butler, in my eyes, he's a future backup point guard for this organization. So those are 3 moves I would definitely consider. You guys vote. I'm going to put it out after the episode. I was supposed to do before the episode, but I was busy today, man. So I'm going to put out both polls as soon as I'm done with the video. So definitely vote. And tomorrow night, we're going to get the award show rocking, man. So we're going to get into who was the best bench player this season. But before we do, tonight's episode is brought to you by Gametime. So Gametime. I could roll Gametime over Ticketmaster, over SeatGeek. And the reasons for that is because Gametime is an authorized ticket marketplace of the NBA, which makes getting playoff tickets even faster and easier. Prices on Gametime app actually go down the closer you get to the tip-off, which is key, everybody. I'm trying to tell y'all. Priority, last-minute tickets, right? Save up to 60% off buying last-minute tickets for sports, concerts, comedy shows, theater shows, etc. Flash deals. Save even more. Exclusive in-app deals on select seats ahead of the game or event. Zone deals. Save even more when you choose a section and let Gametime choose the seats. Seat views. Get a panoramic view from your seat in the app before you buy, which is key, especially in sports like baseball, football, because there's places at FedEx, man, where, man, they'd be mad at them tickets, man. So definitely that is really, really key. And again, the lowest price guarantee, or Gametime will credit you 110% of the difference. Your purchase is covered with the most flexible customer service policy in the ticket industry with the Gametime ticket coverage. So all you guys got to do is take the guesswork out of buying NBA tickets with Gametime. Download the Gametime app, create an account, and use promo code LOCKEDONNBA for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. And again, create an account and redeem code LOCKEDONNBA, LOCKEDONNBA for $20 off. Download Gametime today. Last minute tickets, lowest price guaranteed. Are you watching Fox Sports ESPN on your TV all day long? Have to turn on the volume with all that shouting? Make the switch to Locked On Sports today, a free 24/7 sports streaming channel program for your everyday to bring you the biggest stories without all the screaming. Locked On Sports Today brings you can't miss analysis, opinions, and news. Streaming 24/7 on YouTube or the free Amazon Fire TV channels app, part of Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every single day. So let's get back into it, y'all. The best bench players this season. And again, going back to the previous content, the 3 best moves, in my opinion, for the season, definitely vote. Like I said, I'm going to put out the poll right after the episode, so definitely vote. Because, look, we're doing the award show tomorrow night at 7. So we're going to start the weekend off right. So let's get into it. The best bench players of this previous season. I'm looking at 3 major people. Number 1, and I want to do a shout-out to my man, Corey Kispert. That's my number 1 guy. Now, obviously, other categories, the most improved, a lot of people felt like he should have been considered, and I get it to a certain degree. But then I feel like Corey Kispert, man, he's been this guy since day one. And I'm gonna pull up his stats real quick and kind of let you guys see what I'm coming from. Because we know what he is, right? A 3-level it's been a long day, y'all. 3-level scorer and a guy who can cut to the basket, drive to the basket, put the ball. He's definitely gotten better with dribbling and putting the ball on the floor and creating for himself. So looking at the stat lines, obviously his rookie year was 2021 to 2022. His rookie year, he averaged 8 points a game while shooting 45% from the field and 35% from 3. His sophomore campaign, his minutes went up 5 minutes, but he averaged 11. So it was up 3 points, shooting 49% from the field, 42% from 3. Now this year, he scored 13 points while shooting, and his minutes actually went back 3 minutes, and that has to do with going to being a second unit guy. So I get it, but his points per game went up to 13 points a game. His field goal percentage went down to 48 from 49, not a big loss, and 30. And his 3-point percentage went down to 38 from 42. So he's been consistent with being that guy. If you look at his field goal percentage, it hovers around 47%. It went from 45 to 49 to 48. So it's hovering around that month. So it's around league average. His 3-point percentage, it went from 35 to 42 to 38. So, again, around league average and above. So he's always been that sniper. He's always been that 3-level scorer. And that's why I did put him in there with most improved player, because I felt like he's always been that 3-level guy on the bench or on the starting unit, depending on the year. So, but I'm definitely putting him in consideration for the best bench player, because looking at his stat line, again, 13 points a game, 2.8 rebounds, 2 assists, shooting 48% from the field, and again, 38.3% from 3. So, at times, he was rocking on the second unit this year. Now, consistency is definitely something I want to see more from Corey Kispert, because there was times where consistency was kind of up and down. But I think a lot of that had to do with the moving pieces. The time that I really liked watching Corey Kispert, I'm a big Corey Kispert fan, and I've enjoyed watching him every minute he's been in DC. But when Jordan Poole went to 6 man, and him and Jordan Poole, they formed one heck of a tandem. And that was a very exciting time for the bench. And I really felt like Jordan Poole got the most out of Corey Kispert and really set him up good on the second unit. So it was fun watching those two on the second unit when Jordan Poole was the 6 man, because they fed well off each other. They played well as a tandem in the second unit. Now, obviously, Jordan Poole is really in consideration to be the next starting point guard. So probably not going to see that again, but it was good seeing that. There was definitely a lot of highs, a lot of lows this season, but that was one high in my opinion. Watching Jordan Poole and Corey Kispert coexist in the same backcourt at times as a tandem, and they play well together. Player number 2, everybody, Anthony Gill. Yes, sir, Anthony Gill. Let me pull up Anthony Gill real quick now. Anthony Gill, he's slated to be a free agent, but I, for one, think they need to go ahead and re-sign Anthony, because the positives are he is the unsung leader of the bench. When we look at leadership of this team, Kyle Kuzma's name is brought up, rightfully so. Jordan Poole, rightfully so. Corey Kisper's name is brought up. But we don't talk enough. Oh, Denny Avia also. But we don't talk enough about Anthony Gill, man. If you look at, take a look at Anthony Gill next game you watch him, right? He's always on the knee. He's never sitting on the bench. He's watching the game. And that's why I think he's going to be a coach. He's always breaking the game down, man. If you watch Anthony Gill on the sidelines, it's cool watching him operate, man. Timeouts, first guy out on the floor, high-fiving people. First guy on the floor, talking to young guys. Anthony Gill was that leader on the second on the second unit, but also on the bench. And not a lot of love, not a lot of consideration goes his way, and I definitely think it should. Because if you look at the stats, obviously his stats aren't going to wow you. I mean, 3.8 points a game, 1.9 rebounds, 0.7 assists, and he shot 46.9% from the field, including 24.4% from three. So, his stats aren't going to wow you, but what he provides, it's kind of like Eugene Emery, right? What he provides can't be categorized in a category. Diving for loose balls, talking to young players, just he played sparingly, because if you look at his minutes, he averaged around 9.3 minutes a game. So he played very sparingly. But if you look at the last 10 games of the season, the second half of the year, he came in, he played meaningful minutes, came in and he did his job. And then he's just one of those blue collar guys, man. They come in, he does his job at a high level. He's not a guy going to go out and be an all-star. He's not going to be, but he's the guy who's going to come in and do his job. And like I said, a lot of love has to go his way as being that leader, man. So the third player, and I'm going to pull my guy up. The third player we're going to talk about tonight is Jared Butler. Jared Butler. Why should you consider Jared Butler the best bench player for the Wizards this year? When I'm going to pull up Jared's his stat line real quick. And I actually talked to Jared one time this year. That's when he made that comment. I asked him, what do you want to improve on? He said, man, I want to be like a roach. The bomb goes off, man. I want to be, still survive. I want to, I want to go into the gym and be a workout rat, and he's definitely a really funny guy, man. But, again, not a lot of credit goes to Jared Butler. His stat line isn't going to wow you, but he showed that he could be that backup point guard of the future, if not the present. He came in, he earned that contract. Like I said, it really reminds you of Jordan Goodwin, playing hard, playing between the capital C Go-Go and playing with the Washington Wizards. He played good basketball this season and he earned that contract. And I think he should definitely be in consideration to be the backup point guard. Looking at stat line, 6.3 points, 1.5 rebounds, 3.2 assists, shot 48.8% from the field, which is over league average, but his 3-point shot just needs a little work as far as consistency. Shot 30.8%. So, below league average, but definitely you just want to see him. I guess my charge for him this offseason is just get in the gym and shoot as much as you want. Shoot as much as you want. Shoot as much as you can, right? Just get those shots up and definitely work on a consistent 3-point shot, because once he adds that, man, we've got a jewel in the second unit. Like I said, he earned that contract. He played good basketball this year for the Washington Wizards. And in my opinion, not only did he earn a contract, but he earned a place as the backup point guard, in my opinion, because he came in, he played good minutes. And I was very intrigued. I'm very intrigued to see what he can do in the future next season, because a lot of moving pieces this offseason, man. It's very early in the offseason, y'all. So as soon as the NBA playoffs and as soon as the NBA season officially closes its doors, I'm telling you right now, a lot of moving pieces are going to happen with this front office, but I am excited. So these are 3 great choices, guys, for who is the best bench player for the Wizards this season. We'll go ahead and summarize real quick before we move on. Jared Butler, Corey Kispert, and Anthony Gill. So definitely consider each and every one of these guys as who is the best bench player for the Wizards this season. So we're going to get into some comments made by Kyle Kuzma, man, to Miami Sports, and kind of close from there. But before we do, tonight's episode is brought to you by Monopoly Go. All right, game off. We got to pause here to talk more about Monopoly Go. I know what you're saying. Flag on the play. You already talked about that, but there's just so much good stuff in this game, y'all. In Monopoly Go, you can team up with friends for time tournaments where you can work together to build up each other's boards. The more you win together, the more awesome prizes you unlock, and there's so much more to get. Yes, sir. Unique tickets or unique stickers you can trade with friends to complete albums for big prizes. Cool new playing pieces to travel with the boards with. Hilarious emojis for taunting friends when you smash your buildings or heist your vaults. Lord. Plus, Monopoly Go feels new and exciting every single day with constantly changing tournaments and challenges. A ton include their own unique mini games like digging for treasure or a robot pachinko machine. And there's always new timed events that help you win big, like massive multipliers for everything you win or rent frenzies. There's always something fun to discover in Monopoly Go. So get off the bench and go download it now for free on Google Play or the App Store. Game on. Monopoly Go. All right, everybody. We're going to kind of end on this point. And there was comments made by Kyle Kuzma to Miami Sports. And I'm going to tell you what I kind of got out of it. And it really, the comments kind of stretched back to comments he made at the exit interviews, which I was present for. And they kind of asked him, what was the biggest things you kind of learned about the season? And he said it was kind of a discovery season, because this season was about evaluating guys individually, seeing what they can do and seeing how they can become part of the core going forward. And what they're trying to do is they're trying to take individual performances, and I kind of covered this before with the exit interviews. We're trying to take the individual performances and bring them to a team building. Making this making this team better as an organization. And I get it, guys, man. I get it why a lot of you still are on the edge where you don't know how enthusiastic you want to be with this new front office and new vision going forward. We're going this year 2 of a rebuild. A lot of people just we've been burnt before, right? Gilbert Arenas, that era was fun, and Antoine Jameson, Gilbert Arenas, the list goes on. That it was a good team, but they could only go so far. Caron Butler, my bad. They could only go so far. I believe only one time they got past the second round, or the only one time they made it to the second round. I believe it was against the Bulls, but they only made it so far. They left us wondering, what ifs, and looking at the John Wall area, which we're gonna cover that. Obviously, a lot of you know that John Wall and Martian Gortat were on the same podcast, and there was comments made about the time where John Wall got hurt, and Martian Gortat said, "Look, I feel bad, and it was wrong on us as a team to not go to the hospital, not call John." And you look at the two eras, Gilbert Arenas era with his big three with Caron Butler and Antoine Jameson, John Wall with him and Bradley Beal, Markieff Morris, Martian Gortat, Kelly Oubre, Otto Porter Jr., and the miscellaneous pieces we put on the bench, including Jason Smith. Shout out to Jay Smith. We always wondered what could we have done. You know what I mean? We were teased every time. So I get it, guys. I get it why a lot of people are hesitant to be enthusiastic about the new direction, the new vision, the new front office. But I'm gonna tell you this, man. I'm going into year 3 covering the Washington Wizards officially. Year 2 being a member of the media, the NBA media, and I've come across, and I'm very impressed with this front office. I haven't talked to Travis Slink. I've talked to Michael Winger. Very impressed with the man. Very impressed with the gentleman. Will Dawkins, same thing. I talked to him for maybe 30 seconds, but really cool cat. But these guys, outside of being down-to-earth guys, these guys have a vision. They have a plan. They have a blueprint, and they're going to do it right. It's going to take time, but they're doing it right. They're doing it the right way. Scouting and development. It's culture. They're doing it the right way, and that's why I said that. A lot of people are like, they're looking at the previous eras and saying, why should we be enthusiastic about this era? Why should we? Well, because we have things going on in the front office. We have things going on the court. We have things going on in the owner's suite that weren't happening the last 2 eras. They have a blueprint. They have a vision, and they're abiding by it. It's just not a freelance building from the middle. They're trying to rebuild right, guys. And I'm telling you right now, this is my calling to y'all, man, for you guys watching and listening. Keep hope alive, man. Definitely keep the faith, man. I get it. Rebuilds suck, especially when you're watching other teams, competing for championships, the Denver Nuggets. But take time, because anything great. I'm a historian. I got a degree in history. And, the reason I like history is because you can learn from history, because, history repeats itself, right? So, when, looking at history, yeah, you're looking at the previous eras, it's easy to judge off that, but they're doing the right thing. They really are. They're doing it the right way. And it starts where we're at, the ground level, building culture, building through the draft, scouting and development. So, the comments made by Kyle Kuzma, especially going back to them being comfortable, them, really getting along in the locker room. There's a reason why players want to come back. Tyus Jones wants to come back. There's a reason why. There's a reason why Landry Shamet said that this is probably one of the funnest locker rooms he's ever been a part of. Because there's a reason for that, because they're building something special here. So, kind of in closing, man, keep the faith, y'all. And I appreciate you guys for rocking with me, man. Definitely appreciate you guys rocking with me and Ed this year. A very long season. It's a historically bad season, but we found ways to be happy. We found bright spots. Those 10 o'clock games on the West Coast, me and Ed was staying up at 1 o'clock to bring you guys content. It was really refreshing to see you guys tuning in, rocking with us, man. You guys are rock stars, man. This channel has been growing, and you guys have everything to do with that. So keep the faith, guys. I look forward to the next 2 to 3 years and beyond, rocking with you guys, man. And we're gonna get through it together, man. But that's kind of what I wanted to close with, is just keep the faith, because they're doing the right thing. They really are. Give them some time to cook. Because I'm telling you right now, this front office, under Michael Winger as the president of basketball operations. Will Dawkins as the general manager, and Travis Schlenk. And I apologize, Travis, if I forget the title, man. But these three are the true big three in DC right now. This think tank we have going on in the front office, they're going to do the right things. They're going to build this team into a winner. So definitely, shout out to Ted Leonsis, man, for finally allowing this organization to hit that reset button. To finally take the time to rebuild it and rebuild it right. So that I'm gonna say that in closing. So you guys, tomorrow night, 7:00, we're gonna have our awards show, live award show, where we're gonna hand out awards for the season to the most improved player, the MVP, best bench player. The list goes on. So definitely rock with your boy tomorrow night for the award show for the Washington Wizards. All right, guys, real quick, kind of a itinerary going forward. Next week, we're going to start up free agency and roster building and vision for the roster and draft. So I'm going to start looking at, I'm not going to do heavy on each category. I'm going to bring, I'm kind of vary it during the week, but I'm going to start hitting you guys up with draft prospects, how they fit, where they don't fit. So I'm going to do a lot of draft stuff starting on Sunday, man. So definitely Sunday is going to be my first draft prospect video. So again, tune in for that, guys. And again, appreciate you guys, man. I get it right now. I'm trying to put all the content I can out, guys, because it's the dog days right now. The NBA season is still going on. And unfortunately, we are in our off season. So, sometimes it can be tricky, but it's worth it, man. Because again, I love each and every one of y'all. Appreciate you rocking with me. And I will see you guys tomorrow night. So, Locked On has launched the first ever national sports 24/7 streaming channel on YouTube, and now it's available on the Amazon Fire TV and the free Fire TV channels app. Locked On Sports Today is here for you 24/7, coming to the top sports stories of the day with the local experts of Locked On, plus our national shows covering every league. Find Locked On Sports Today, now available on the free Fire TV channels app. So again, guys, see you tomorrow night. Everybody have a blessed evening. Hail to the Wizards, and peace. See you guys tomorrow night.